This cute little fuzzy plant is called Peperomia verticillata, otherwise known as belly button peperomia. And I was turned onto this plant about 3 years ago, and I ended up getting a larger version, and this is one of my smaller versions of Peperomia. This peperomia is actually native to Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and Haiti, so I've actually never seen this plant growing in the wild, but I could maybe intuit the fact that because this is a much more succulent variety and it has this kind of fuzziness, I mean, verticillata, ciliata actually means fuzzy, or it has a little bit of fur. And I'd imagine that this is actually growing in a little bit more of a harsh terrain because of its succulence and because of its fuzzy nature. So this particular plant I have growing in my southwest facing window. However, I'm probably going to be pulling it back because in the summer months that heat gets a little bit too hot, and this doesn't necessarily need to be, or I'd say a little bit more intense. And the heat I don't think is a problem for this particular plant, but the light might actually get a little bit too intense in my window, so I usually pull this back. I have noticed that it does not like humidity, so I also have my humidifier pretty close to this particular plant. I have it facing somewhere else, but I notice that if the humidity does touch this plant, it starts to get a little bit mushy, even though I'm not watering it. Now, you could have this with a pretty well-draining mix, something a little bit more moderate to high in perlite, and I would say watering this in relation to the light that you're giving it. So if you have it near a southwest-facing window, you might want to be watering it maybe once a week, and make sure that the water drains through and that you don't have it kind of sitting in the base, because this plant could actually then suck that back up and it could invite root rot. And that would probably be one of the #1 ways that you might hurt this plant, is that by watering it too much or not giving it a tremendous amount of light. It can start getting longer internodes, which are the areas between the two leaves, the leaves up here and the leaves up here, and you can see that this has like leaflets around a whorled stem, which I think makes this plant look a little bit more full and gives it a really cool growing structure. So if you like succulents and you like peperomia, then you might want to actually try and get your hands on a Peperomia verticillata.